Sheriff Wade Callaway sees a grieving black father and assumes he's just another man to silence, another name to bury with paperwork. But what he doesn't know, Marcus Wright, is a decorated Navy SEAL trained to hunt the truth and expose corruption. Stick around, because when the servers fall, the footage leaks, and CallawayCorruption goes global. His badge won't protect him. It'll condemn him. They thought they killed a boy with no power. What they didn't know was who his father really was, and what justice looks like when it's personal. We love to see where our viewers are from. Comment your location and the time you found this video. Subscribe to stay connected. The fluorescent lights gleam off Sheriff Wade Callaway's freshly polished badge as he lounges in his leather chair, master of all he surveys, in the Riverdale Police Department. 15 years of unquestioned authority rest easy on his shoulders, just like his grandfather's service revolver at his hip. A weight as familiar as breathing. The morning sun streams through his office window, casting a corona around his reflection in the polished wood desk, a king in his castle. Sheriff Wade Callaway's fingers trace the badge's edges, remembering his grandfather's words. Power isn't given, son. It's taken and kept. The memory brings a satisfied smirk to his face as he recalls yesterday's conversation with that troublemaker Wright and his disabled boy. The father's desperate pleas about police harassment had been particularly entertaining to dismiss. Sir. Officer Jenkins bursts through the door, face flushed. That Wright guy is filming outside talking about his son. People are gathering phones out. Sheriff Wade Callaway waves a dismissive hand. Let them film. This is my town. He rises, adjusting his belt, savoring the authority in each deliberate movement. The badge catches the light, sending sharp reflections across the wall like warning shots. Through his window, he spots Marcus Wright below phone, raised high voice carrying, "My son Elijah couldn't walk without help," but that didn't stop Callaway's deputies from. Sheriff Wade Callaway's jaw tightens. The crowd is growing, phones multiplying like fireflies at dusk. A young deputy rushes in, tablet outstretched. Sir, it's already trending. CallawayCorruption is. Enough! The sheriff's fist slams the desk, but something unfamiliar flickers in his reflection, a shadow of doubt he's never seen before. The badge suddenly feels heavier, its shine dimmer. His phone buzzes. A text from Judge Monroe. My office. Now? This Wright situation needs addressing. Sheriff Wade. Callaway's fingers curl around his badge, the metal warm from his grip. Nobody questions my authority in my town. He growls, but the words ring hollow against the growing chorus of voices outside. The security feed shows Wright advancing toward the station entrance, surrounded by cameras and smartphones. Every screen captures the determined stride of a father, with nothing left to lose, every lens focused on the man who dares to challenge Sheriff Wade Callaway's reign. Type power falls, if you've ever witnessed authority crumble. Sheriff Wade Callaway stares at his badge, remembering every special accommodation he's denied, every complaint he's buried, every grieving parent he's dismissed. But something's different now. The badge's reflection shows a man whose kingdom is built on shifting sand, and for the first time in 15 years, Sheriff Wade Callaway feels the ground beginning to move beneath his feet. Sir! Jenkins' voice crackles through the radio, panic evident. Wright's inside the building. Multiple cameras are going dark. The familiar click of his holster doesn't bring its usual comfort. Instead, it sounds like a countdown starting, marking the minutes until his carefully constructed world begins to unravel. Will Sheriff Wade Callaway's authority survive this father's vengeance? Subscribe to find out how deep the corruption goes, and watch as 15 years of unchecked power face the fury of a parent's justice. The security feeds blink out one by one, like stars being swallowed by an approaching storm. Sheriff Wade Callaway's empire is about to face its greatest challenge, and the badge that once symbolized absolute power now reflects a truth he's never had to face. Fear has finally found its way into the heart of Riverdale's untouchable sheriff. Sheriff Wade Callaway leans back in his leather chair, the weight of his badge heavy against his chest, as he replays the body cam footage for the 10th time. His jaw clenches at the sight of Elijah Wright's thin frame crumpling to the pavement. The boy's medical alert necklace glints in the patrol car's headlights, a detail that should have given his officers pause. But Sheriff Wade Callaway doesn't train his force to pause. Just like we taught them, he mutters, remembering countless briefings where he'd emphasized swift action over careful consideration. The training manual sitting on his desk, authored by his own hand, explicitly states, "Hesitation costs lives." The irony of those words now burns in his throat. His phone buzzes. Another text from Richard. "Delete everything," his brother warns. Sheriff Wade Callaway's fingers hover over his keyboard, but something stops him. 20 years of carefully constructed control flash before his eyes. The private prison contracts, the kickback schemes, the carefully doctored arrest statistics. The familiar hum of the station's backup generator provides an unsettling soundtrack as he pulls up his departmental records. Each folder represents a piece of his empire. Training protocols. Incident reports. Budget allocations. His cursor lingers over a folder labeled Special Operations, containing documents that would explain how a disabled teenager ended up dead for reaching for his medical alert necklace. Through his office window, Sheriff Wade Callaway watches more protesters gathering outside the station, their phone cameras gleaming like accusatory eyes in the gathering dusk. A news van pulls up its satellite dish, reaching toward the darkening sky like a mechanical finger pointing at his guilt. The system works for those who control it. Richard's words echo in his mind, a mantra that had guided him since their father, the former sheriff, first handed him his badge. But now, as he studies his reflection in his computer screen, Sheriff Wade Callaway sees something he's been avoiding for years: the cost of that control. His hands shake slightly as he opens another file, this one containing statistics on use of force incidents. The numbers tell a story he's always known, but never acknowledged a pattern of escalation of violence, justified by paperwork and procedure. Each incident report bears his signature, his explicit approval of actions that viewed in isolation might seem reasonable, but together paint a damning picture. The generator's hum grows louder as more systems go dark throughout the station. Sheriff Wade Callaway grips his badge tighter, remembering the day his father pinned it on him. "Power isn't just about force," the old man had said. "It's about making others believe in your right to use it." A notification pops up on his screen. Another social media explosion about Elijah Wright. The hashtag #CallawayCorruption is trending. His kingdom of carefully constructed narratives is crumbling pixel by pixel, share by share. Outside, the crowd has doubled. Sheriff Wade Callaway watches as his officers shift nervously their hands on their weapons, just as he taught them. The sight sends a chill down his spine as he realizes he's created an army in his own image, trained to react with force to any threat to their authority. His phone buzzes again. This time it's from the State Police Commissioner. Internal Affairs is reviewing the Wright case. All records to be preserved. Sheriff Wade Callaway's carefully maintained world begins to tilt on its axis. The generator sputters, and for a moment his office is plunged into darkness. In that brief moment of blackness, Sheriff Wade Callaway sees with terrible clarity the foundation his power rests upon: fear, force, and the belief that control equals right. In the sudden dark, his reflection vanishes. When the lights return, only a shadow remains. When the lights flicker back on, his badge catches the fluorescent glare, throwing shadows across his desk that look remarkably like prison bars. Type "control" in the comments if you've ever witnessed power corrupt those meant to protect and serve. Sheriff Wade Callaway stares at the security monitors, his heart pounding against his ribs as the methodical thuds of breached doors echo through the station's corridors. Each crash makes his badge feel heavier, colder against his chest. The protesters' chants seep through the reinforced windows of the evidence room. Justice for Elijah, a rhythmic reminder of his crumbling empire. Through the flickering screens, Callaway watches Marcus Wright move through his station with terrifying precision. Not like a grieving father, but like the SEAL he once was. Wright isn't storming through. He's hunting. He moves with muscle memory silent. Step 2 taps on the server rack. Then a flash drive clicks in. His eyes scan the room, unblinking. Calculating. The realization makes Callaway's throat constrict. Wright isn't here for blood, he's here for something far more dangerous. Truth. Sir Wright's access to the server room. Officer Chen's voice crackles through Callaway's radio. He's downloading everything. All the complaints, all the cover-ups, everything from the past decade. Callaway's hand trembles as he switches off the radio. 10 years of carefully buried evidence about to see daylight. The metallic taste of fear floods Callaway's mouth as he remembers every complaint he buried, every witness he silenced, every piece of evidence he lost. The Jensen case, the Martinez shooting, young Thompson's accident, and now Elijah Wright, all connected by a thread of corruption that Wright is about to unravel. His phone buzzes. Another news alert. CallawayCorruption is trending nationwide. The body cam footage from Elijah's shooting, which Callaway thought he'd deleted, is now viral. CNN is picking up the story. His carefully constructed wall of lies is crumbling brick by digital brick. "Sheriff, they're calling for your arrest outside." Deputy Morris's voice shakes through the door. "The FBI's here. They're saying they have evidence of systematic corruption under your leadership." The words hit Callaway like physical blows. Morris, his most loyal deputy, sounds different now. Scared, or worse, disgusted. Callaway clutches his badge, the metal edges cutting into his palm. He remembers polishing it this morning, proud of what it represented. Now it feels like a brand of shame. Through the security feed, he watches Wright methodically downloading files in the server room. The ex-SEAL's face shows no rage, no vengeance, just cold, calculated purpose. The sound of another door being breached closer now. Callaway's empire is falling apart in real-time broadcast to the world. His phone keeps buzzing. Internal affairs, the mayor's office news outlets. The weight of 15 years of corruption pressing down on his shoulders, threatening to crush him. Social media explodes with each new revelation Wright uncovers. Video clips of tampered evidence, audio recordings of covered-up testimonies, financial trails leading to offshore accounts. Each piece adding to Tantu Bondwang CallawayCorruption, each share and retweet another nail in his coffin. Have you witnessed corruption crumble? Type "Truth wins" in the comments below. The systematic breaching continues like a countdown to judgment. Wright isn't just exposing Elijah's case. He's exposing everything. Every dark secret, every buried truth, every moment of corruption that Callaway justified in the name of power. And as the sound of breaching grows closer, Sheriff Wade Callaway realizes with crushing clarity his badge won't protect him anymore. It never should have. Sheriff Wade Callaway's chest tightens as he stands in his office, watching years of carefully constructed power dissolve like sand through his fingers. The radio on his desk crackles with Marcus Wright's voice, each word hammering another nail into his coffin. "It's over, Sheriff. Every file, every cover-up, every dirty dollar, it's all out there now." Callaway's trembling fingers brush against his badge, the metal suddenly cold and heavy. The badge, his symbol of absolute authority for 15 years, clatters to his desk with a sound that echoes through his bones. Outside his window, hundreds of phone screens illuminate the night like accusatory stars, each one displaying evidence of his corruption. The hashtag, Callaway's crimes, is trending, and his stomach lurches as he sees the video count climbing 500,000 views in just 20 minutes. "Richard, pick up, damn it!" Callaway hisses into his phone, desperately trying to reach his brother at the state attorney's office. The call goes straight to voicemail. Again. Richard has always been his safety net, burying evidence and squashing investigations. But now there's nothing but silence. Even his own flesh and blood has abandoned ship. The familiar whump-whump of helicopter rotors grows louder, and Callaway's legs nearly give out as he spots the FBI insignia through his window. His empire built on threats and favors, and blood money is crumbling in real time. The security cameras he's relied on for years now betray him, showing Officer Jenkins walking out with his hands up surrounded by federal agents. "Sheriff Callaway." His secretary's voice trembles through the intercom. "The FBI's asking for your surrender. They have everything. The dashcam footage from Elijah Wright's Murder the Offshore accounts the evidence you planted on those protesters last summer." Callaway's hand hovers over his gun, but the fight has drained from him. On his computer screen, social media explodes with new revelations every second. Local news stations are running breaking updates. CNN has picked up the story. His phone buzzes with a text from his wife. "How could you—" "This is my department," he roars, hurling his coffee mug against the wall. But the words sound hollow even to his own ears. Beyond his door, he hears the heavy boots of federal agents in his hallway where he once walked like a king. The radio crackles again. "Remember what you told me when I came asking about my son." Wright's voice is steady, methodical. "You said, 'The law is whatever I say it is.' Well, the real law's coming for you now, Sheriff. The same law you twisted to kill my boy." Callaway slumps in his chair, the fight finally leaving him. Through the window, he watches his officers, men and women he'd molded in his image, being led out in handcuffs. The protesters' chants grow louder. "Justice for Elijah. Justice for all." His computer pings with a final email notification. It's from Jenkins, time-stamped just before his surrender. "I'm sorry, Wade, but I couldn't live with Elijah's blood on my hands anymore. None of us could." The door bursts open. Federal agents flood in, weapons raised. Callaway raises his hands, slowly feeling the weight of every life he's ruined, every law he's broken, every truth he's buried. As the cuffs click around his wrists, he catches his reflection in the window. Not a powerful sheriff anymore, just a fallen man facing justice. In the end, it took a father's love to bring down a kingdom built on fear. Type "justice served" in the comments. If you believe no one is above the law, share this video to show that even the most corrupt power can be brought down by the truth. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories of justice triumphing over corruption. Sheriff Wade Callaway stares at the iron bars of his cell, the same ones he'd walked past thousands of times before. Only now they cage him like the criminals he once locked away. The morning news echoes through the detention center, his own face plastered across every screen, breaking Sheriff Wade Callaway's corruption empire crumbles. Sheriff, his hands now empty of the badge he'd polished religiously for 23 years, tremble as he watches evidence technicians catalog that same shield. The metallic clink of it being sealed into an evidence bag sounds like a final heartbeat of his dead authority. Each click of the evidence photographer's camera feels like another nail in his coffin of shame. Property of Wade Callaway. The technician announces her voice, clinical and detached. Badge number 2471, documented in evidence for case file, Wright versus Callaway County Sheriff's Department. The words Wright makes his stomach turn. Marcus Wright, the father he'd underestimated. The man whose disabled son he'd allowed his deputies to target, harass, and ultimately... Callaway can't even finish the thought anymore. The weight of what happened to Elijah Wright crushes his chest like a vice. On the television mounted outside his cell footage plays of his arrest. Wade Callaway watches himself being led out of his own station in handcuffs, his empire crumbling around him. The hashtag #CallawayCorruption floods across the screen, accompanied by clips from Wright's meticulously gathered evidence. Years of brutality cover-ups and kickbacks, all exposed in high definition. "I protected this county," he whispers to himself, but the words ring hollow now. "I kept order." A bitter laugh escapes him as he realizes how those same justifications sound exactly like what they are. The desperate rationalizations of a man who lost his way so gradually he never noticed the monster he'd become until it was too late. The news switches to coverage of the Elijah Wright Foundation's groundbreaking ceremony. Marcus Wright stands at a podium not as a grieving father seeking vengeance, but as a beacon of change. The foundation will oversee police accountability and support families affected by law enforcement misconduct. Callaway's chest tightens as he watches families of other victims, ones he'd dismissed, threatened, or paid off, standing alongside Wright. Their silent testimony speaks volumes about the true scope of his failures. Satyom. Type, "Justice served if you believe no badge should shield corruption." The news anchor prompts, and Callaway watches the hashtag explode across the screen. His former deputy chief appears next, confessing to decades of systematic abuse under Callaway's leadership. Each word strikes like physical blows. Sheriff Wade Callaway didn't just allow this culture of corruption. He built it brick by brick, victim by victim. The irony doesn't escape him. How his obsession with maintaining power ultimately stripped him of all of it. His badge, once a symbol of authority, now serves as evidence of his crimes. His name, once spoken with fear and respect, now headlines cautionary tales about abuse of power. Share this story. The anchor urges to remind every person with authority that justice will always find its way. Wade Callaway sits in his cell, finally understanding the truth that eluded him for so long. Power isn't measured by how many people fear you, but by how many lives you protect. His legacy won't be the empire he built, but the changes his downfall inspired. A guard passes one who used to snap to attention at his approach. Now there's only cold professionalism in his eyes as he announces, "Prisoner Callaway, time for processing." "Tell me something." Callaway calls out his voice, carrying none of its former authority. "Was it worth it, everything I did to keep control?" The guard pauses, considering. "Drop a 1 in the comments if you think justice is worth more than power," he says, quoting the viral phrases now attached to Callaway's case, before walking away. Wade Callaway closes his eyes, letting the truth settle into his bones. His greatest power came not from his badge or his position, but from the opportunity to serve justice, an opportunity he squandered until a father's love for his son brought everything crashing down. Outside his cell, life moves forward. The Elijah Wright Foundation grows, his corrupt network crumbles, and his badge rests in an evidence locker. A reminder that true justice can't be controlled, only served.